To my fellow fifth graders freaking back to start of school, don't worry, it means we're getting much closer to college football season. And who better to discuss college football with the man himself, Craig Fischer. Hi, I'm Dayan, and welcome back to my podcast. Okay, fun fact. Before we get into football, you're actually my dad's high school English teacher. So, you have any dirt on my father? What was he like as a student?
First of all, glad to be here, buddy. Your dad as a student was bright, fairly athletic, cerebral, funny, and an excellent writer. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me, too.
You know, it's funny. Last episode, I discussed the torturous life of a Knicks fan with my father. I have a feeling this episode will have much more positive vibe as I credit you for my love of Alabama football.
Thank you, man. I agree. Roll Tide.
Simple question. What turned you on to the Crimson Tide?
Great story. Ready for this? January 1, 1979. I'm 8 years old. My mom went to Penn State for 4 years. Famous school, Joe Paterno. All I heard my whole youth was Penn State, Penn State, Penn State. Best 4 years of my life. So I'm not even 8 years old watching Sugar Bowl, January 1 in the afternoon. My dad says, check out this coach, Bear Bryant. Check out this team, how they play defense. Number 2 Alabama was playing number 1 Penn State. Alabama wins with a goal line stand. Broke my mom's heart, made me very happy. I've been an Alabama fan ever since. True story.
What makes you favor the college game to the pro game, besides the fact that you root for the Vikings?
Love the Vikings. I love the NFL. College, I love the tradition, the pageantry, the energy. You go to a college game, there's such a feel from the crowd, the emotion behind it. Not that I went to Alabama, nor did I go to North Carolina, but those schools are institutions. I didn't get anything from the school. I don't know the school anything. I just love the history, the great players, the energy, the fight songs, the traditions that they do. More of a pure game. Game's a little different with some of the rules. Love the energy. I prefer college on Saturdays, man. I love watching football on Saturday.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question I've always been curious about. You're the AD of Alabama. Paul Bear Bryant and Nick Saban are sitting in your office. Which one is walking out with the position of head coach at the University of Alabama? And please give us young kids a history lesson on the great Paul Bryant.
Great question. Great question. I thought about this question for a couple days after your dad kind of gave me a heads up. 2019, I got to go with Nick Saban. Here's why. Bear Bryant was a better rebuilder of programs. He rebuilt Maryland, Kentucky, and Texas A&M. Kentucky was a basketball school. He made it famous. He made it respectable for football. A&M, he made him undefeated. But on the process of doing that, he did a lot of controversial things. Have you ever seen the movie called Junction Boys?
No.
It's about his time in Texas, brutally grueling, putting his players through these grueling, hard workouts in the harsh summer of Texas, where guys had heat stroke, guys were going to the hospital, players almost died. He couldn't do that today. The old school approach of Bear Bryant, Woody Hayes, those type of guys from the 40s, 50s, and 60s doesn't transition to today's player. So I have to go with Saban as far as contemporary coach. But Bear Bryant was a builder of programs. He never flirted with the NFL. Saban did. I prefer Bear Bryant, but I think Saban fits better for today's game. Great question, man.
As you know, I'm a huge Jets fan. What can you tell me about Joe Namath's days back in Tuscaloosa? What were some of his best attributes as a quarterback?
Vince Lombardi said he was the best quarterback he ever saw naturally. You look at film of him playing, slashing through players. He was 6'2", he could dunk a basketball. You look at highlights from the early 60s, there was nobody like him. The one game he didn't tape up his shoes with white tape, he blew his knee out. He wasn't the same player after that. He was a $400,000 player for the Jets, still had injuries, lived a certain lifestyle that didn't help him heal up and recover and stay young. But his attributes were a tremendous arm, quick release, phenomenal footwork, and the ability to be mobile. Also a great clutch leader.
Let's shift gears to current time. How much more impressive is Alabama's sustained success considering their conference, the SEC, and their consistently tough strength of schedule?
It's amazing. It's the best 10-year run in the history of college football, and college football has been around since 1869. Think about how long that is. So no team for 10 years had this type of dominance with this type of level of competition. Look who the tough teams are in the SEC. It used to be Florida, Urban Meyer, LSU, Les Miles. You have the traditional rivals like Auburn, Tennessee used to be good. They won a title in '98. Ole Miss, Mississippi State. It's a grueling schedule to get through it. With their arch rival now is Georgia with their old coach. It's amazing, and the way he rebuilds the depth at running back, wide receiver. Now he finally has a quarterback, which is rare. The only thing Alabama lacks usually is a solid clutch kicker. Hopefully we get one.
What are you expecting from Tua this year as far as his target, Jerry Jeudy?
Oh, I expect huge numbers. I expect Jerry Jeudy to be a Heisman finalist. I think he'll be top 3. If Tua is healthy, sky's the limit. They have all the great receivers. They have great running backs. They're loaded already. It's all about Tua's mindset. Does he get past what happened at Clemson? And can he stay healthy? Because last year he was injury prone.
It's really fun being an Alabama fan. I've seen so many great teams and talented players. 2015 roster is the most stacked I can remember. Some players included Minka Fitzpatrick, Derrick Henry, Calvin Ridley, Kenyon Drake, O.J. Howard, Reuben Foster, and others. Who's the best Alabama team all time in your opinion?
That's a great question. I don't know. There's a couple great teams in the 60s. Bear Bryant won 3 titles in the 60s and 3 titles in the 70s. The 2015 team, the list you gave me, is a very impressive list. The only guy that was a bust in the NFL of that list is Reuben Foster, mainly because he had off-the-field problems, but he's very talented. I think I'm going to concur with you. I'll go with 2015.
It's fun to talk about all the stats and records, but let's be real. Life is all about moments. Certain plays live in our memories. What were some Bama moments, both great and heartbreaking, that have stuck with you through the years? I've heard you mention the George T play. Talk about that.
A phenomenal play. First of all, the background to that was Alabama was 2 in the nation. Miami was 1. The SEC was just formed around a split division where the 2 divisions were going to play each other. Florida won the SEC East. Alabama won the SEC West. So it was a huge risk if Alabama played Florida and lost. Florida was much lower ranked. It would have made the national title game not as meaningful. But the fact that Alabama won, so they were 2, made the claim to play Miami a legitimate claim. They had a Heisman Trophy quarterback, Gino Torretta. They had won 4 titles since 1984. They were the team of the 80s. And George T made an amazing strip play. I think he had 2 interceptions in that game.
It was just some George T highlights over the years.
Amazing. Tough, hard-nosed player. Clutch, too. Look at those uniforms, buddy. Classic helmets. There's Miami getting beat. Are you going to show the strip play?
Yeah. What's next?
I don't know, that's it. Watch the distance between him and the guy before he catches him. Okay, pause it. Can you pause it? He wasn't even in the screen before that. If you go back, he wasn't even in the screen when he caught the ball. Presence of mind to do that. Is that insane? I've never seen a play like that in my life. To have that happen against Miami, which is a team I used to hate, now I like them. I despised them then. First title they won since 1979. It was epic. I'm not going to talk about heartbreaking moments because I can't even mention the Iron Bowl game. It makes me sick. I haven't even watched the kick. Put it on and walk it out.
This is another heartbreaking moment for me.
That was a tough one. I think it was a pick play. Clemson's legitimate though. There you go.
Be the final play of the college season, perhaps, if Clemson gets a touchdown to win it. Bama can hold them out.
He's a great quarterback.
It's a field goal attempt.
He's transitioned well as well. That's an illegal pick. You know what NFL team runs that play all the time? Patriots. Which is an ironic fact because you know who the mentor of Nick Saban is? Bill Belichick. Jalen Hurts played great that game. That was killer. They left too much time on the clock. All right, turn that off. What's next, big guy?
Okay. Who would you say Bama's three biggest rivalries are? Who has given us the most trouble?
Well, Auburn's the biggest. The rivalry is so intense and hate. There's so much hatred between them. They didn't play for like 40 years. They had to have a state law pass through their Congress or the state assembly to get these teams to meet again in the 40s. They didn't play for like 40 years. Then Auburn wasn't even allowed on the Alabama campus till about the year 2000. They were playing in the 1800s. So the most hated rival is Auburn. To a true Alabama fan, Tennessee's a big rival because they're supposed to play them on the third Saturday of each October. LSU's been a good rival the last 20 years because of Saban. It's got to be Auburn, Tennessee, the top two, and I would add Florida for the games I watched since the 90s against Florida.
This was the past 3 years. Would you include Georgia in that list?
Yeah, I think they're a tough test for them. I agree with that.
Given recent history, which team would you take the most satisfaction blowing out in a national championship game? Auburn, LSU, or Clemson?
I love to kill Auburn every day, all day. But I'll take Auburn. Who's it, Georgia? Or
LSU,
oh,
Clemson.
LSU. I actually like LSU. I'd love to see them beat Auburn. I'd love to see them beat Clemson. LSU I'd take two. And now do I go Auburn, Clemson, LSU? 1, 2, 3.
Or would Georgia be on that list?
I put Georgia in there just because of the game last year, how close it was, and Kirby Smart. Definitely.
Tell me about your time in Tuscaloosa. Was it special being there?
It was amazing. The flight we had in 2009 was on 9/11. It was canceled due to weather. We were supposed to go in on a Friday night, so we went on a Saturday. Show up. My friend rents a car. We drive in from Birmingham to Tuscaloosa, 2 hours. We don't know anybody. We went to the Houndstooth, one of the greatest sports bars in America, named after Bear Bryant's hat, the Houndstooth hat. And all of a sudden, I started talking to people about my history of liking Alabama. I was kind of nervous because north, south. I'm from New York. I don't know what the vibe was going to be because I knew so much about the history, and they respected the fact that we flew in for a game. We met people the whole night. I met a guy that played on the 1992 National Championship team. Special. The one thing I would do if I went back, I'd like to have more time and go to the Bryant Museum and check out the campus because the campus looked beautiful.
Let's talk about the upcoming season. Alabama has lofty expectations as usual, but do you have any concern about Tua's lack of size and his compromised mobility because of knee issues? Not to mention that we just lost a 5-star running back in Trey Sanders. I don't think that there'll be a huge deal, considering we probably have a 5-star recruit waiting in the wings and typically a strong offensive line.
Great comments. We have a great running back now in Najee Harris. He was the backup. He's a junior. He's going to blow it up. He never played because all the guys are older classmen. They've had a running back stable that's been solid for like 15 years. Go back to Glenn Coffey and Mark Ingram. Since then, every year they've had stud backs. Tua, yeah, if he stays healthy, I'm not concerned. I don't know about his confidence has to be high. He has to be a good leader. and don't let anything off the field or the hype distract them, which they usually don't because of how Saban runs the program.
If you look at the last 4 years, all of Bama's running backs have been round 4 and under. Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, Josh Jacobs, Damian Harris, and
Before that, you have Mark Ingram.
Bo Scarborough.
Trent Richardson was a total bust, but I was there for his first game. He was amazing. So, yeah, you have a lot of great talent. They've replenished. Like I said, all they need is a kicker. They usually have a good offensive line. I'm looking forward to Anthony Jennings as a great leader on the defense. So it's really health for Tua, off the field, and do you have a good kicker?
Okay, the moment of truth, where we find out who the real guru is. Prediction time. Give me your top 4 seeds and how you think the playoffs will play out.
I know you're picking Georgia. Oh, you have something to write on? All right, this is going in. All right, I didn't really think this through. Well, I might throw in a little wild card. Interesting. My cousin's a huge Michigan fan. He'll be happy to see that. How about the winners? Great minds think alike. Good job. What's next, big guy?
Speaking of the playoffs, I'm currently sitting at a table for 6. I feel they should expand the playoffs by 2 teams. I say this because college football pulls the smallest amount of schools of any major college college sport. I also think it would be more exciting. Where do you stand on the current playoff format? Expand, subtract, or leave it as it is?
It's going to be expanded because money drives the engine, drives the car. So you say 6? I'll take 6. I'll take 8 max. I don't want to go past that because out of the 130 teams in Division One, it's special to make it. I'd like to see bowl games reduced because there's 35 bowl games. I mean, 70 teams make them. The record to achieve a bowl game is 6-6. I like to see that record be 8-4. Maybe go down to 20 bowl games. But I'm happy with the way it is now. But I do see it going to 8. I'll take 4, 6, or 8. It's a matter of how long it's going to take and how drawn out it's going to be.
If it was top 6, who would your next 2 be this year?
Great question. I'd probably throw in Oklahoma, which I thought you would throw in because of Jalen Hurts having an epic year. Oklahoma would probably make it. I don't know about Michigan, maybe. Could be Ohio State, I'm not sure. Definitely Oklahoma.
I don't think Ohio State, since lost Urban Meyer and Dwayne Haskins.
Thank God they lost Urban Meyer.
So, honestly, in my opinion,
Let's see what the guru says. You go Oklahoma. Taking a page from the master. Texas, Oklahoma? Okay. I gotta give that one some thought, but I definitely would add Oklahoma.
and then if the playoff format was like that, would you go 1-6, 2-3, 4-5, or would you go? Where would you go?
1-6, 4, yeah, probably 1-6, 2-5, 3-4, right?
Yeah. I would kind of stick with 2-3. I think it would be much more exciting.
True, closer. But you want to give the team that comes in second a little cushion, like a little reward for being second. But the 2-3 is a good matchup. I agree with you.
Okay. Another burning topic is should college athletes be paid or is a scholarship enough?
It's a great question because Francesco always talks about if they get paid, there might be union issues for collective bargaining. They have stipends, but maybe increase the stipend so they get things covered. There's less incentive to get corrupted by agents. So they should have money paid to them based on the generation of profits for their school based on their uniform number or their likeness on a Madden game or something, which there's a huge case about that in college basketball through like UCLA's, the guy's name from the 90s was Ed O'Bannon. He fought and won a case for that. I'd like to see the players get some money that they particularly can generate and maybe a larger stipend, but paying them is tough. I think a scholarship's a nice gift.
Okay, let's briefly touch on the NFL. First, I have to ask you about my Jets and your evaluation on Sam Darnold. What kind of quarterback do you think this kid could be?
I think he could be great, man. He had a good first year as a rookie. He's sturdy. He's got a solid build. Makes great throws. He seems pretty calm for the whole New York scene. Advanced for his age. I think he's a great, solid quarterback. I think your team's going in the right direction. Not the biggest fan of your new running back, but at least he's not acting like Antonio Brown just yet.
Antonio Brown retires over a helmet, just threw his awesome career in the trash.
Great.
As a Vikings fan, how do you feel about the Cousins signing? Is he someone that can win big with?
It's a great question. He hasn't won big yet. All that money guaranteed. That's rare for a quarterback. I think he was the first one, right? It was $84 million guaranteed. This is a big year for him. He hasn't shown that he's clutch yet, so it's still a big question mark. But I think they have a great coach, great defense, good running game. Dalvin Cook is back, great receivers. I think they can go far this year.
Just out of curiosity, who do you hate more, the Bears or the Packers?
I hate the Cheeseheads. I like the Bears. My favorite player in any sport is Walter Payton. So I like the Bears, and Aaron Rodgers to me is the best quarterback who's ever played. But I hate the Cheesehead fans. So I hate the Packers. How about you?
I like the Bears better.
Me too.
Just don't put them there then.
I already saw it.
My dad thinks the world of Randy Moss, but the best Viking I ever saw was Adrian Peterson. I know you love making lists. Where does AP rank on your all-time running back list, and who fills out your top 10?
That's a great question. I just posted a Randy Moss video today. I have 6 backs at the top, but I think AP might be 7. To me, the big 6 running backs in history are Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, Eric Dickerson, Walter Payton, Earl Campbell, and O.J. Simpson. No, and O.J. Simpson. Rounding out the top 10, AP, LaDainian Tomlinson, Marcus Allen. But those big 6, nobody was like Jim Brown, and I hate to say it today, but nobody was really like O.J. Simpson. Gail Sayers' career was cut short. Eric Dickerson set records that lasted forever, or he still has records. Walter's Walter, and Earl Campbell had an 8-year career too, 8 or 9-year career. He was cut short, but he was a beast. To me, those 6 stand alone, and probably AP's crouching into that 7th slot, maybe past Earl Campbell. He's one of the greatest that ever did it.
What does Walter Payton mean to you, and what kind of impact does he have in your life?
He was an amazing player, an amazing guy. Put it this way, the name of the person in the NFL that does the most humanitarian work is the Walter Payton Award winner. So to name an award after somebody like that shows you their type of character. He missed 1 game, never got sick, never got hurt. He didn't play because he didn't have a good rookie season. It's like 56 game in, they put another guy in who became a famous broadcaster later. His guy name was Mike Adamle. They didn't play him not playing because he was hurt, so he never got hurt in 13 years. Set a record for rushing in a game with the flu, 275 yards on 40 carries against the Vikings, who back in the day had a great defense. So his toughness, his tenacity, his off-the-field work ethic, second to none. He's my favorite athlete in any sport of all time.
With the Mets on a tear, I couldn't help but not bring them up. So
Thank
I'll
you.
ask the question. Would you rather have a Viking Super Bowl or a Mets World Series win?
Viking Super Bowl, man. 0-4. The Mets won in '69. I saw '86 happen. Came close in 2000. Viking Super Bowl. Big time. That's my thing I want the most.
I'm happy they lost in 2000.
Thank you.
After conducting my research and asking my dad a ton of questions about you, I discovered that you have other interests besides Alabama and college football. You're a writer. I'm learning very quickly that to do well as a podcaster, my writing skills have to be really good. Do you have any writing advice for me or any other young viewers out there?
That's a great question. Well, one of the styles of writing that I used to emphasize when I was younger, and I taught it to your dad, was free writing. Getting your words on the page without interrupting them. Don't be the editor first, be the writer, then shape your work. So get your ideas out quickly, put them out there, and then shape them. A lot of times people try to write the perfect phrase, sentence, or page, and it takes them forever. If you're going to do podcasts, that's going to be like a weekly thing. You have a lot of pressure on you to prepare for guests and shape it. So just get everything out on a page, and then shape it as you go. And to be a great writer, you have to be a great reader. You read the best guys, you pick up phrasings and word usage that's going to impact you. A guy like Herman Hesse, a guy like Murakami, Hemingway, they'll shape the way you write.
I also discovered that you are passionate about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, train as much as I can.
which is a form of martial arts that I'm not too familiar with. Can you describe what it is? Can you tell me how it benefits your life?
Oh, it's amazing. I've been doing martial arts for 25 years, and it's not an art that feels like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's a whole lifestyle. You eat healthier, you burn a lot of calories, you have a closeness with your teammates. What the best thing about it for me is, it stops me from thinking. If I jog, it feels great. I do 2 miles, I get a nice sweat, but I'm thinking about my life. If I lift, I get a good little pump, I'm thinking about my life. If I'm rolling with a killer like your dad, and I start thinking about my life, he's going to choke me out or armbar me. So what does it allow me to do? It allows me to stay in the moment. So I think a lot of people lack that today, the ability to stop their mind from moving and stay in the moment. It could be yoga for somebody, painting for somebody else. The ability to shut your mind down and stay in the moment is what it does for me the most.
One thing I knew, but forgot, is that we share a love of chess. What are some lessons you learned from the game?
Well, this summer I went to Washington Square Park where the young Bobby Fischer played, and I learned a couple of things about the opening that I didn't know from the guy that's been playing in the park for 30 years. He played the best player in the world. I learned that even though the opening has basic rules, there are some fundamentals that I'm still learning. And I learned the guy I was playing with said I'm a little impulsive in my moves. So I'm learning how to discipline myself and slow down. It's a fascinating game.
Well, folks, that concludes episode 2. I want to thank Craig for all this time, but most for all his sharing his passion of Alabama football. Take care, buddy, and send my best to Eliana.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. You're a great host.
No problem. Thank you.